It's been helpful to families who can now carry their children up to the age of 26. They can keep them on their insurance, and that's a time period when they're in college, or they're in a, even after they get out of college. Young people are having trouble now finding employment, and so the parents can still carry them on their, at least they're protected with health care up until 26. And another good piece of the legislation is that you now can move from one job to the other. If you have some illness, you can, still continue to keep your insurance, and so that's another good aspect of the bill. That they can't drop you from your insurance because of some catastrophic illness that you have.
Well, let me raise this final question here, and I think in a couple of minutes here. What about the disabled individuals?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. It's very difficult to get disability paid to you these days. But I have to say that persons who are disabled tend to be very involved in their own advocacy, that they've been able to advocate very much for what they needed. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I think there's been some shortage, reduction in funding for the disabled.
That was one of the reasons.
And that has not been a good situation. Again, I think in the United States we need to realize that the money, the way money is distributed in this country, we will continue to hear that maybe 5 to 10% of the population own 90% of the wealth. And it's unfortunate that persons who live a middle-class lifestyle, which is very hard to maintain these days, they're becoming more and more what we call the working-class poor, are in many ways not able to access the kinds of services they need. And therefore the government has been put in a position where the government now has to provide more services to assist those individuals and to protect those individuals. But these are the people who kind of are in the middle, which are in the most difficult situation, because they don't quite meet the eligibility requirements. At the same time, they don't receive, the wages have not kept up with the cost of living today. And as a result, they're sort of not eligible to receive certain services from the government, or public assistance as we call it. And at the same time, they're not making enough money to maintain a home and to do all the things that we attribute to the middle class.
Finally, do you think that Tennessee State University is making some movement in the program of social work in terms of trying to help the overwhelming majority of the people in Tennessee that we have responsibility for? Well,
first I want to say that my program was the first accredited public social work program in the state of Tennessee, way back in 1974. And the program has been around since that time, and we have contributed a great deal to Tennessee in terms of providing them with graduates, very capable graduates, even here just in Nashville. And many of them come from underrepresented groups such as African Americans and so on, and we need more minority social workers.
And of course, let me thank you, and I'm sorry that we have to interrupt you, Professor Williams, but let me thank you for that excellent information, and let me encourage our audience. Tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and